Hi everyone, and very much welcome to this session, how to track your performance and get closer to your fans using SAP Sailing Analytics. Together with me here today, I have Claes Lundin from the Swedish Sailing Federation, and you will learn in this session how the Swedish Sailing Federation are utilizing SAP cloud technology in order to monitor track performance, get closer to the fans, and really get the fans another level of customer experience. So yes, you will hear a lot from Claes today, and of course curious to understand, Claes, who are you, and can you tell me a little bit about your background?
Well, I am of course a keen sailor. I've been so all my life. Now I work for the Swedish Sailing Federation, and I am a project manager for the National Sailing League that we call Allsvenskan. And I should maybe say something about my professional background. I'm a naval officer, or a former naval officer, and that makes me interested in technology and aerodynamics, which is very useful when I talk about analyzing sailing.
I can totally understand that. So yeah, today you will learn more, of course, about utilizing data in sports like sailing, of course, and specifically from the Swedish Sailing Federation and what we call the Seglings Allsvenskan. But first, of course, I want to give you a little bit outline on what kind of technology the SAP Sailing Analytics tool is based on. So we're utilizing in order to really make sure that data is being utilized in real time. So we're utilizing the SAP Business Technology Platform, which is built on our real-time database, SAP HANA. Within our business technology platform, we are working, of course, with the real-time analysis, but also how can we visualize the data in an effective manner in order for, first of all, of course, the sailors themselves, but also coaches and the managers of different sailing teams. How can they see the patterns, how they can take a decision on the data, because it's not only about, look at the data, but what do you do with it, and what kind of analysis are you really taking from it. So the SAP Sailing Analytics platform built in the cloud, so basically utilizing the whole cloud infrastructure in our SAP data centers, but you can also utilize the business technology platform on other data centers. So SAP have a multi-cloud strategy, which means that you can basically deploy the business technology platform, utilize the HANA real-time in-memory capabilities on Azure, Amazon, Alibaba Cloud, and so on. So we have a multi-cloud strategy, which really can make a difference today. So what kind of data are we then collecting from the different sailing areas? Of course, you have the wind, you have the position, you have the different angles, and by getting all that kind of transactional data into the platform and utilizing the 100+ algorithms that are deployed in SAP HANA, those algorithms are automatically then, of course, understanding the data, and you don't need to build algorithms from the get-go. So basically they are already deployed, and those algorithms are then deciding what data to use and which data is useless or which data is of value for the coaches and the trainers. I think there's different angles to it. So you have the sailing analytics tools, which are used then both in broadcasting, in media, but you also have the applications that we have built on top of the business technology platform, like SAP Sailing Analytics, and also that Claes will mention in the presentation today, Sail Race Manager. Of course, these sensors are deployed on the boats, and we will also share a slide on that. But the whole infrastructure and the data analysis is taking place in the cloud in real time with the utilizing of SAP Business Technology Platform. So yeah, with no further ado, I'm really excited to hear more from Claes on the real use case for Seglings Allsvenskan and of course the Swedish Sailing Federation. So Claes, take it away.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, I should start by saying something about the Swedish Sailing Federation and how what strategic objectives we are trying to achieve, and also then come into how we use Allsvenskan, the National Sailing League, in order to fulfill those requirements and objectives, and also to of course, use some of these tools you mentioned, Sailing Analytics and so on, in order to also train the crews and develop their tactical skills. So the Swedish Sailing Federation is, of course, a part of World Sailing. World Sailing is the governing body for all sailing all over the world, racing especially. And we get all the general rules and regulations to format the framework for how sailing and racing should be performed. Sailing is also part of the Olympic family, as you might know, and we have 10 events, 10 different boat types, boat classes participating in the Olympics, and Sweden is quite successful, I think. We took 2 silver medals now in Tokyo, which we are very proud of course. The Swedish Sailing Federation have 98,000 members, and they are organized in 324 clubs and 16 districts. We also have class boat associations, class organizations. A class boat organization is an organization that is administering the different types of boats, sailboats that we are racing with. There are maybe 1,000 different sailboats around the world, of course, and some of them are more suitable for racing than others. And those that are very suitable for racing, they have rules and regulations regarding class rules, as they are called. Class rules regulate how a boat should be constructed, equipped and handled. So we have 66 different sailboat types, that is catamaran, dinghies, keel boats and so on, that we administer and have rules for.
And which boat is being used in Segling's Allsvenskan now?
Yeah, we have chosen a small keel boat, a 7-meter long keel boat. It's called the J70. It's quite a common boat in both the US and in Europe. Other sailing leagues have this boat as well. And so it's very suitable for 4 or 5 persons, and it's nice, competitive. So that's the one we use. The Swedish Sailing Federation have set out some strategic objectives. First of all, we have an idea that sailing should be made available to everyone. It should be easy and accessible, not so complicated, that's trying to achieve, and make it more popular. We also like that once we have recruited and trained a sailor, we like that person to stay with sailing all his or her life. We like it to be a lifetime experience, and we like to help people evolve in sailing their whole life. We organize, in Sweden we have 400 events every year. They are normally organized by the clubs, and we have, should we say, a database calendar of events called Sail Arena, where all the clubs can list all their events, and the sailors can see all the information about an event and make an entry through that database, Sail Arena. Among all these events, we have 60 Swedish championships. May sound a lot. I said we have 66 boat types, so 60 of them have a Swedish championship. So we have 60 Swedish champions every year in these different classes. I said that the clubs are organizing the events, and that is true, but we have 3 events of strategic importance for the Swedish Sailing Federation. It's Junior Cup, similar to maybe some of you are familiar to Gothia Cup in football, but we have one couple of days each summer where we let all the young kids, young sailors, get together and have a great, fantastic event and race each other. So that is of strategic importance to us, of course. We have also the National Sailing League, I will come back to that, and also something that we call Champion of Champions. So all these 60 or so Swedish champions, we get them together in a common event in October where they all can race each other. And we use the J70 as well. We use the same methods and systems as we do for the National Sailing League. And it's a spectacular event where we actually can see which one is the best sailor regardless of which boat he or she is sailing in the championship. So a spectacular event. The National Sailing League, it's an event for clubs, not individual crews, but for clubs. So they have to compete with several crews during the event, during the season, I should say. This sailing league, and we are not the only nation to have a sailing league. We have 21 nations organized in International Sailing League Association, which is an organization that sets out the framework for national sailing leagues. So we follow that as well. And for us, this is a strategically important event. We would like to show how we can make sailing easily accessible for the sailors and also available for the audience. Should be spectator friendly and attractive and exciting. And as we mentioned, we have J70 boats. We have typically 6 boats provided for the event, for the cruise. And 18 clubs participate in our sailing league during the season in 4 events. Each crew about 4 people, and we have short races, and we umpire the races on the water. I am the head umpire myself, so it's I keep myself quite busy, and it's very exciting and fun. This is a typical, we live broadcast these events, and we have a good spread on Facebook and YouTube for a lot of spectators. It is, well, anyone can view this, but I think it's of most interest for the sailors and the clubs themselves to look at this. And we have expert commentators, and we have several cameras. We have drones, onboard cameras, and land-based cameras, and so on. So we make this production. And as you might see, it is a bit tricky sometimes in sailing to see which boat is in the lead, who is behind, and who is the last boat, and so on.
Yeah, because it's quite a small margins between the boats. It's very usually quite tight between the top 5, or even like we see now, there's several boats that are almost on the same level, or just a couple of milliseconds behind.
They are in line, so to speak. They may be separated apart. It looks like a bit distance between them, but in the race, in the progression of the race, it's very close.
And specifically, like when you're broadcasting it, it's difficult for the fans to really see it. But now with the technology, of course, you're able to really have that kind of visualization.
Yes, exactly. So how do we make this visual for the competitors? Well, racing, first we have to understand that racing by character is quite difficult, because you have a defined race course. You have the starting line, you should go to 1 or 2 marks, and then you should go to a finish line. But each and every boat can choose different ways, routes to get to the marks. You can't sail strictly against the wind and not strictly downwind, so you have always an angle to the wind, and that makes possibilities to choose different ways. And this means that boats will all have traveled a different distance and a different speed over the course, depending on the wind and things. So the winner of a race is the boat with the shortest time. That boat may have sailed fastest, or it may have sailed the shortest distance. It depends. But the shortest time will win. But the challenge is for us to present this for the spectators. How do we show which boat is in the lead, and why does it win? So, as you mentioned in the beginning, we have a tracking system. So on each competing boat, we have 6 boats, they are equipped with a tracker, a GPS receiver, and a tracker that also that receives the position of the boat and can transmit that and send that. And we use the mobile phone system. We also have trackers on the rounding marks and on the race committee boat, the start and finishing ship. And all that information with the positioning is sent up to the SAP servers for doing the computing, and then makes that a bit easier for the race officer on the start and finishing boat to manage the system.
And I believe that you have been tracking and received or gathered a lot of data already since 2016, I understand. So based on history and collected data, of course, you can see the patterns and then take another decision from the last year's maybe competitions and so on.
Absolutely, yes.
But like what Claes is telling here is that, of course, we have the sensors bringing data from the rounding marks, from the boats, with a lot of course, angles to that volume of data. and then being sent up to the SAP cloud platform. And then we do the analysis there, and then we, of course, in real time provide the sailors, the coaches and managers with the visualizations. And all of this data is then collected, gathered in the application built on SAP Business Technology platform then.
Yes, and the first application that we use for the race officer, the person in charge conducting the race, is the SAP Sailing Race Manager. So that is an application for a tablet or smartphone, very accessible, very easy to use. And it gives him or her, first of all, a list of competitors. It supports to lay the course so that the course gets in the right places. And it helps us with the starting procedure, the countdown to the start. And when the boats finish, it's easy to record which boat is finishing first, second, and third, and so on. And automatically, the system is calculating the overall leaderboard. So that is a very helpful, easy-to-use system that we have. For the competitors or the spectators, as you mentioned, we save all the events, all the races, and this is a list of an event that we had a couple of weeks ago. There you can see that there are several races, so each event consists of many races. And each and every race is monitored, and you can go in afterwards in SAP Sailing Analytics and have a look at that race and analyze the race and each individual performance. And this is typically a slide where we can see a replay of a race. So here we can zoom in and have a closer look to the boats. We can speed up the process and have a quicker look. And when we're closer to a mark, for instance, we can slow down again and see how each and every boat performed around that rounding mark. So that's an easy view to have a quick overview of what happened. And this view can also be presented live in the broadcasting if we should like to do that. Here is another side that shows you that you can get some overall overview and some statistics. But we can also go deeper to an analyzing of an individual race. Here we have highlighted one boat, KSSS, the Royal Swedish Yacht Club. They have the blue tracked line there. And below you can see a detailed maneuvering table. Here we can see how that boat have tacked and jibed around the mark and so on. That's detailed sailing terminology, but still they are maneuvering. So we can see in what speed they entered the maneuver, what turning rate they had, and how they came out, with what speed they came out after the maneuver. So the less you lose in speed during maneuver, the more time you save, and the better your result will be in the race, of course. So here you can analyze every individual maneuver one boat has done and compare to other boats. And
this is available both for sailors and also the audience. So if you look into this now, go into the SAP Sailing Analytics website, you can dig down into the data and analysis from back in 2016 in the Swedish Sailing League. And then we also have collected competitions from across Europe, right? So
yes,
it's
absolutely.
Not only Sweden that's collected here.
So on the next slide, we have also another view that we can see for this race. On this slide, we can see Halmstad Segelsällskap. They won that race. And we can see that they have an average speed of 5.4 knots. But they also sailed the longest distance, 1,852 meters. So obviously they could gain speed by sailing a certain route up to the marks. That's what their strategy. But Stenungsund, that came second, they have almost the lowest average speed, but they have sailed very smartly because they have very, very short distance. They sailed the shortest distance of all the boats. So that was another strategy. And what they have probably done is they have used the wind direction. The wind is always shifting in direction, and we can see on the bottom diagram, the red lines, how the wind is changing in direction and speed over time. So a crew that is very good at predicting this and observe this, they can use the wind shifts in order to gain distance and thereby gaining time. So two different strategies from two boats, but interesting to see how they both tend to work very well for them. The boat finishing last, Göteborg's Royal Yacht Club, they sailed also almost the slowest speed, but also the longest distance. So that's not a good combination when you want to save time. So they didn't really get the good timing for the wind shifts. So this is interesting analyzing that you can do and learn more and develop your tactical skills. We can get other information also from the system, of course. We have summaries of the speed and distances and all that we can present for the viewers between races, and the leaderboard, of course, and other things. So that is a way of keeping the interest up for the spectators during the whole day when we have several races. So by using this system, SAP Sailing Analytics, tracking and race management, we think that it really supports us in reaching our strategic objectives in the Swedish Sailing Federation, because we make sailing more accessible, easy to understand, and fun and spectacular. And the obvious benefit, of course, for the crews is that they can, and the coaches, is that they can develop their tactical skills with the system, which we think we really need, in Sweden at least, to improve. Mm-hmm. We can observe when we send our Swedish crews to international events, other sailing leagues and so on, that they are a bit ahead of us. So we have some improvements to do. So that's we try to market this system more and more now for the sailors.
That's a good conclusion on the competitive advantage by really utilizing data. You can be ahead of the competition.
Absolutely, so. I think so too. So I should maybe say something just shortly in the end here about what I wish, at least for the future. I would like even more precise and faster GPS trackers. That is available. It's only more or less matter of cost. I also would like more wind data. It would be possible to have wind instruments on several places over the course. As I said, the wind is different in different places on the course. To have that wind data in real time over the course at the same time would be very, very nice. I would also like to have sea chart information to the Sailing Analytics. And that is something I hope that SAP can develop for the future. So that, because if you see the bottom topography and islands and all that have an influence on wind and waves, that will also, of course, have an impact on which strategic idea you should have on how to sail the course. And we also like to have more graphics, as you also could see. You mentioned also in the beginning here that some professional sailing leagues events, they have more graphics, which is a costly system, but data is certainly available from SAP, but we would like to extract that data and put into graphic the moving lines and have the wind flowing over the course and all that. A matter of costs again, of course. And I'd also like to have a duplex communication with the boats, so that they can protest and they get all the information about the marks and roundings and results and all that, and we can penalize them on that system, in form of penalties and how they finished and all that. So duplex communication with the boats would also be on my wish list.
And I believe if it's not a matter of if, but rather when this will be available. So, like you say, it's already there, and we saw it in the Olympics in Tokyo this year, where it was an improved in the broadcast, of course, with the visualization and more data. And yeah, we hope to see it in the Swedish Sailing League very soon as well. So.
Yes, exactly. So, well, that concludes my briefing.
Thank you very much, Claes, and hope you have got a good understanding of how the Swedish Sailing League are utilizing SAP technology in order to get closer to fans, but also, of course, improve performance for these sailors. SAP have been sponsoring sailing already from 2011 and are also embarking on an even more closer journey with the whole international world of sailing. And we will now also expand into the junior leagues and the youth leagues coming ahead for next year. And go into SAP Sailing Analytics website and, of course, visit and go out there and use the data that is available and improve your sailing performance. Thank you very much for the time today, and have a nice day.
Thank you for being here.